The interesting story on Huang Qi is kind of the harvest length stuff. I've grown stuff domestically, and it's a crapshoot. It doesn't seem to really get better in the second or third year, and I'd say that's because we just have too much water in this region. And most of the clinicians that I know that have used Astragalus that's been grown in the native region lament its quality. I mean, if you want to grow Astragalus, grow it in eastern Washington. Grow it in a desert, grow it in Nevada, grow it somewhere more in keeping with its traditional growing region. This is the nature of Chinese medicine. You know, it's like one of the hallmarks of Chinese medicine is trade.
I knew it in Utah against the south-facing wall. It got up to 120 degrees in certain days in the summer, and it thrived.
Yeah. I mean, and it grows well. You look at it growing, you're like, oh, it's growing well. And I mean, like even this stuff that I was really excited that have a first-year root that looked like that, you know, but it doesn't, when you watch it second, third year, it doesn't really get bigger. And it's like, why doesn't it get bigger? It doesn't have any incentive to get bigger. Or, and it's also like the depth of the clay layer. I mean, the clay layer is like 12 inches deep, you know, and so you have all of these problems. And now, I would like to open the floor for questions, and you're first. Yes?
Well, so we have access to a farm that is on the other side of the Cascades, but we're not really there. Or is it something that we could grow that would really take a lot of attention?
I mean, you shouldn't want to, really. You know what I mean? It's like, try to grow it half wild style. You plant it, and you get it started. You need some minor attention from somebody during the seedling stage. Hopefully, whoever's there, you can collaborate with them. But, I mean, after that, after they've kind of made it through the seedling stage, ideally, they don't need any kind of help at all. You know, I mean, irrigating it endlessly is not that helpful at all. I mean, if it's sustained dryness for like a month or something like that, you might need slight irrigation. But, you know, the highest quality medicinal is the stuff that's grown closest to wild-grown conditions, and wild-grown conditions have no irrigation. And so if you find the right spot, you shouldn't need to take care of it at all. And I mean, I think that's the way. Yes, sir?
Are there any provinces in China that exactly mirror the Mediterranean winters and dry summers that we have here?
Yeah, I have a hard time. Yeah, I mean, so that's like one of my basic questions, you know, and I'm like, most of the places that are, it's either that there's some, like, if it's the same summer, then it has a freezing winter, and if it's the same winter, it has like a monsoon conditioned summer. It's like it has like there's no, I don't find a parallel region in China to Western Washington. Yeah, and I mean, that becomes the problem. It's like, well, if we go to Eastern Washington, I think you find more parallels to other parts of China than you do in Western Washington. And on the other hand, maybe if you go up to elevation in the Cascades, you can skip around some of that stuff because you'll get a freeze in the winter that we don't really get here. That's one of the problems. I mean, a lot of the stuff that grows here pretty well, it suffers because it doesn't freeze in the winter. And it sits in all that standing water all winter long, and the roots like shrink. So that's a bummer. You know, I could probably offer a future lecture on kind of tweaking your idea of Chinese medicinals to use them as novel products, and finding a way that a certain class of Chinese medicinals that tweak nicely and create cool therapeutic properties in this region, which makes them different than the ones grown in China, and to me makes them different medicinals. But there's a way to use this climate to benefit the production of certain compounds and certain therapeutic functions of those plants, but it changes them from the way they're traditionally used as their prototypical self, as they've evolved in Chinese medicine, and as they've been incorporated into these formula structures and formula families over 2,000 years. Yes?
I'm wondering if you have found any medicinal analogs of garden peony and medicinal.
I'm sorry, one more time?
Have you found medical analogs of garden peony and medicinal peony?
I have only one comment on that, which I find interesting. So I was looking at, so my fifth presentation would have been Peony, but you know, I had an hour and a half. And I think Peony, anyway, so Peony is the garden cultivars are my only piece on that is that some research on treating using the root from like the European ornamental peony and like Japanese and Chinese medicinal peony strains or cultivars. What I thought was interesting is they looked at recovery from anemia in a certain population of Japanese women, and they recovered from, like, their blood counts came back with no difference between the ornamental species and the medicinal cultivar. But when they actually looked at the blood, the type of iron that was in the European cultivar, there was only like a single type of iron. I don't know exactly what that means, but the medicinal cultivars had like 4 different types of iron. So there's like, there's something else going on there. That one test, it was like, oh, they both help restore the blood count. But this one has some, like the medicinal cultivar has some small difference. And if there was some other kind of assay happening, I think like the whole peony thing, it's a subject that kind of scares me. To actually differentiate like the ornamental cultivar from the medicinal cultivar and all this stuff. And it's like you have to have a doctoral degree in peony research, essentially. When I look at that stuff, I'm just like, oh man, I want to talk about something else. But I have a whole presentation on peony. If you want to pick my brain about it, I can bring it up and dig through it at somewhere else. Yes?
Does the peony grow here equal the ones that grow in China?
So the peony grows here.
Yeah.
The peony, the Daodi region of peony is in Hangzhou. Like Daodi peony is Hong Baishao. And so Hong Baishao has, in Baishao, in Hangzhou, we have like a monsoon summer, which is so different, One of the plants I've studied more in that regard is called Baiju, Atractylodes macrocephala. And Atractyloides is also Daodi to Hangzhou. And you can see what happens faster with Atractyloides because you want to collect seed off it like every year. And it'll go to seed in the first year, possibly. But in Seattle, it like barely ever gets to seed. Because what it wants is in like the late summer, it wants a ton of moisture and a bunch of heat. And then it will go and race towards making seed. And in Seattle, it doesn't get that, and it kind of languishes, and it doesn't move towards seed development, and it doesn't promote the same type of oil development in the root, so it's not as aromatic when you harvest it. And I think that like that developmental thing, it has a certain impact on the medicinal function of the plant. All that being said, like the peony is not my area of expertise because I don't have as much experience with it. I've never grown it from seed and then harvested it after 3 or 4 years and then done a bunch of quality assessment on it. Everything else I talked about today, I've done all of that with. And so I don't have as keen of an understanding of peony. And it's almost like that because what I kind of present, I kind of try to keep in parallel with what else is going on here. And I think when we're talking about trying to get people involved in growing, it's good to start with like annuals and herbaceous perennials and things that you can get harvested in first, second, third year. With peonies, we're typically looking at 5th year. And so I would maybe some other time I would talk about that. Maybe some other time I could talk more specifically about field management, expected harvest, how many seeds per acre, market stuff. But right now this was my introductory talk. Yes. Yes, in the back.
Would you make, or are able to make this PowerPoint available somewhere to us?
Yeah.
So much good information.
Yeah, I can. What I would like to do is, so I'm going to give everybody my email address, and everybody that sends me an email, I will send the PowerPoint to. It'll be easier than the other way, which would have been everybody writing down a list and then me going off the list or something. So my Bastyr email is timothy.ross@bastyr.edu. timothy.ross@bastyr.edu. If anybody has any herb material, would you kindly bring it back to the front? Because I should probably start packing up. Yes, sir.
One more quick question.
Yes.
That's Astragalus. The Astragalus is the photo of the pole.
Yeah.
And I've often seen it.